Welcome to the lesson on solving systems of linear equations using matrices. Let's start with a system of an x and a y, two equations, 2x plus y equals 7, and negative 3x plus 6y equals 13. We can set up a matrix to solve this by setting up a matrix using the coefficients, an answer matrix, and multiplying the coefficient matrix or raising it to the -1. In other words, taking the inverse of the coefficient matrix, then multiplying it times the answer matrix. So let's start by plugging in the coefficient matrix, which is going to be a 2 by 2. To plug this in, we're going to press alpha F3. This is the shortcut button to plug in a matrix. We want it to be a 2 by 2, 2 rows, 2 columns. So we want to make sure that we have the 2 highlighted. It is already highlighted. If it wasn't, you're going to scroll to the 2 and press enter. Then we're going to scroll down. We want to change the columns to a 2, so highlight the 2 or put the box around the 2 and press enter. That will change it. Now scroll down to OK. And a 2 by 2 appears on our screen. Now let's plug in our coefficients, which are 2. Then scroll to the right. A 1. Scroll to the right. Now we do the second equation, which is negative 3 and 6. So we're going to type in negative 3, scroll to the right, and a 6. Scroll to the right to get out from that matrix. Now we need to find the inverse of this matrix. The inverse button on the calculator is the x to the -1. It's over here on the far left, approximately middle ways down. When we type that button, notice the little -1 appears. Again, that means that we're going to find the inverse of that matrix. Now we want to multiply this matrix times the answer matrix, which is a 2 by 1. You can type the multiplied button, or I'm going to scroll back and delete that. You can actually just type the other matrix right next to this matrix. The calculator understands a parentheses beside a parentheses or a bracket beside a bracket. Any two grouping symbols butted up to each other going in opposite directions would mean multiplication. The calculator automatically understands that. So let's type in a 2 by 1. So we're going to use the shortcut button for a matrix, alpha F3. We want to change it to 2 rows, which we already have highlighted, and 1 column. So I scroll down to 1 column, press enter to choose it, scroll down to OK, press enter to choose that, and notice that a 2 by 1 appears. My answer matrix will have a 7 and a 13 from the 2 equations. So type a 7, scroll to the right. You don't want to press enter. If you press by mistake, press enter, you can just scroll back up and grab where you were and start over at that point. Scrolling right will take you to the next piece of your matrix. Then I'm going to type in 13. I'm going to scroll to the right. That's a good habit to get into. Scrolling out of your matrix, press enter. And my answer is this long decimal, 1.933, 3.133. The top number represents the x coordinate. The bottom number represents the y coordinate. Now let's do a matrix that's 3-dimensional. It has an x, a y, and a z in it. Because we have 3 variables, our coefficient matrix will be a 3 by 3, and we have 3 equations, so our answer matrix will be a 3 by 1. So I'm going to clear out my screen so we can have all this on the screen at one time. We need to input or get ready to input a 3 by 3. So let's use the alpha button and the F3 to change our matrix to 3 by 3. So we want 3 rows. So I'm going to scroll over to a 3 and press enter to choose it. Then I'm going to scroll down to 3 columns, press enter to choose that. And then I'm going to press OK, or scroll down to OK and press enter. And there's my 3 by 3, and then I just take my coefficients from each equation, starting with the top equation. So I should have a 2, a 1, and a 2. 2, and then remember we have to scroll to the right to get to the next column. 1, scroll to the right, and then 2. And now I'm going to scroll to the right. That'll get me to the next row. The second equation has coefficients 1, -1, and 2. So I'm going to type in 1. Scroll to the right, -1, scroll to the right, 2, scroll to the right will get me to my third equation, which has coefficients 1, 2 and negative 1. So I type in 1, scroll to the right, 2, scroll to the right, and negative 1. Now I'm going to scroll to the right to get out of the matrix. I need to find the inverse of this 3 by 3, so I press the inverse button, which is the x raised to the negative 1 over here on the far left. And now I'm going to multiply that matrix by the answer matrix, which is a 3 by 1. So now I need to go to the alpha F3 button, and I want to change my columns to be 1. I already have 3 rows. I'm sorry, it should be, 3 rows and 1 column. Scroll down, press enter, then scroll down to OK. And if you make a mistake and type in a 1 by 3, all you have to do is delete it and then type back over it. So my answer matrix is 18, 9, and then 6. So I'm going to type in 18, scroll to the right, 9, scroll to the right, and 6. Scroll to the right. This gets me out of my matrix. Now press enter, and my answer will appear in the order that it appears. The 5 would be the x coordinate, 2 is the y coordinate, and 3 is the z coordinate. That concludes our lesson on solving systems of equations using matrices.